Welcome back to Man with a Wok, where today's journey takes us to the bustling streets and serene gardens of Tokyo. In this episode, we're uncovering the delicate balance and profound flavours of Japanese cuisine. From sushi that tells a story with every bite, to comforting bowls of ramen that warm the soul, we're diving deep into Tokyo's culinary treasures, so sharpen your knives and ready your chopsticks, because we're about to embark on a flavourful adventure through Japan. Our first stop in Tokyo brings us to the artful world of sushi, a dish that is as much a feast for the eyes as it is for the palate. Today we're going beyond the roll and exploring the precision and care that goes into creating authentic sushi. Mastering the perfect sushi rice, we'll uncover the secrets behind the iconic Japanese delicacy. Sushi is probably one of the most famous dishes to come out of Japan, and I know it's one of the WAN favourites. It finds its way onto our dinner table at least fortnightly and sometimes weekly. I'm going to show you how I make mine. It's seasoned rice with the toppings that I really love. So today we've got some tuna and sweet corn. I'm going to do a nice grilled king prawn, and I'm even going to show you how to roll a maki roll. The first things we have to do is get the rice on. Today I'm using my trusty rice cooker. The cooking method does not change. So whether I'm cooking Thai rice, I'm cooking Chinese rice, or today I'm cooking Japanese rice, I'm still going to use the method and it works every single time. I'm going to wash my rice at least 3 times. There is no real reason for this. Supposedly it's washing away the extra starch that's in the rice. The only difference now is because I'm going to be adding the vinegar as a seasoning for the rice, I'm going to cook the rice with just that little bit less water. So instead of an inch of water, which normally would come up to my first knuckle, I'm going to do roughly half an inch or maybe 2 centimetres. That's our rice washed, and we can now pop this into our rice cooker. And I'm just going to click it on to cook. In here, I popped in some vinegar, a little bit of sugar, and some Himalayan sea salt. Of course, you can just use normal table salt. I'm now going to gently warm this, just so the salt and sugar dissolves, but I don't need it to boil at all, so literally just warmed. That's my vinegar, completely ready. It's not boiled, it is quite warm at the moment, so I'm just going to pop it to one side, just to allow it to cool, and once our rice is cooked, we'll add and then fold this through. The beauty of making your own sushi at home is that you can use all the ingredients you love, literally any filling or any topping you like. It's all about personal preference and exploring flavours that you and your family enjoy. I've gone for the classic combination of tuna sweet corn mayonnaise. This blend is not only delicious, but also gives a creamy texture that complements the crisp seaweed and seasoned rice beautifully. I'll be using this mix to fill my gunkan rolls, creating a delightful contrast between the soft filling and the crunchy wrap. For my maki rolls, I've chosen cucumber for its fresh, crisp texture. The coolness of the cucumber wrapped in seaweed with just the right amount of rice is a simple pleasure that never disappoints. I love king prawns, especially when they are pan fried. I've butterflied these prawns to ensure they sit nice and flat on the rice, which is crucial for perfect nigiri. It's these little touches that make homemade sushi such a special and personal experience. Creating these pieces at home allows you to adjust ingredients to your liking, experiment with different flavours, and really make each bite your own. It's a fun, interactive way to enjoy sushi tailored exactly to your taste preferences. My rice clicked off about 10 minutes ago, which tells me it's cooked and it's ready for the vinegar. So with asbestos fingers, I'm gonna Move my rice pot. Now you can wait for your rice to cool down. Patience has never been my virtue. I'm just gonna fluff my rice through now so you can see we have lovely soft grains of rice plumped up with the water. What we're going to do now is season this rice with the vinegar and just allow it to cool for about another 10 minutes before we start rolling our sushi. This is going to be poured over my rice and I'm going to adjust, so I might not use all of it for a start, majority of it. And now the idea is now to fold this through the rice, just ensuring that every single grain is coated. Now a real sushi master will of course wait for this rice to cool before adding the vinegar, and they'll spend a lot of time then folding this in a bamboo pot with a bamboo spoon. Master I am not. But my mum says that my sushi is the best. And I'm just gonna grab a piece of this rice now, just to try. Perfect already. I'm not going to put the lid back on, but I'm just gonna leave that just to sit and cool for about 10-15 minutes. Opening a fresh packet of nori is the first step to creating the perfect sushi. For our gunkan rolls, we need the nori cut just right, neat and tidy. I'm slicing it into strips that will snugly wrap around the rice and filling, creating that classic gunkan shape. This precise cut not only holds our delicious topping securely, but also adds a crisp seaweed crunch that's essential to the sushi experience. Just while we're waiting for our rice to cool down, I'm just wrapping my bamboo mat in a layer of cling film. Now what this does, it prevents the bamboo mat from getting clogged up with the rice as we roll, because you do get escapees. You definitely don't need to wear gloves to do the rolling, but I find that my hands attract sticky rice and I get clogged up just like when baking bread. So for me, I like to put a pair of gloves on. I just have a dish of water. My rice is now cooled. I'm just going to wet my gloves. And the very first make or sushi make I'm going to show you is the nigiri. You want to grab roughly a golf ball size portion of rice. And then just in your hand, we want to start making a block or a cube like so. And then when you're happy, we're just going to square that cube off, just gently squeezing, because we're just trying to get that rice to get together and firm up. I'll place this onto my serving board, and those lovely juicy king prawns I cooked earlier, I'll just use one of these just to top. And that's my first nigiri made. So a little bit more water, another golf-sized ball. And all I'm doing for a start is just squeezing that rice together just to create a rough shape. And then as I turn the rice, I start to refine that shape. And again, I want to get roughly the same size. And as it firms, I'm just going to square it off again. And this is the shape that we want to achieve. For the second sushi make, we're going to do a gunkan, which means warship. It's a very similar start to the nigiri. This time I'm going to take a ping pong sized ball of rice, so slightly smaller. And once I get a rough shape, which is compact, I then want to, instead of cube, I want rounded edges. So I want to try and just round off the sides. So I'm looking for that rounded shape on each end. Just flatten it out again, just compressing that rice. Now I'm going to grab a piece of my seaweed and I'm just going to wrap this around. And then what we're going to do now is just fill the center. Just grab my spoon. And I'm going to take some of my tuna sweet corn mix. I am going to apologise if there's any sushi masters watching, because I'm no sushi master. That's a very small gun can, but you get the idea. So that's my first one. Second one, just a small amount of rice. I'm taking a piece of this seaweed wrap and I'm just going to squeeze this around. There's my hollow, which I'm going to fill. You can, of course, make these slightly larger. I like these, so they're bite size. And there's my second piece. Now, lastly, the all-important maki roll. So I think this is the most, probably the most recognised shape out of all of the sushis. So you can use full sheets of nori or seaweed. I've just chopped these in half. Again, I'm just going to moisten my hands off and I'm going to grab some rice, but this time I'm going to keep it quite loose because we're going to spread this out over the nori. Now, you don't have to cover the entire piece of seaweed, but you want the majority covered. So when I make these at home for the children, we use full sheets of nori, and they are like very large bite-sized pieces. I'm then just going to wet the end of the seaweed that isn't covered with rice. So that's just going to help it stick in a second. We'll then take some pieces of cucumber, which I've chopped, and then just taking the end closest to you, I'm just going to roll and pinch over. Then I'm going to pull the mat away from me, squeeze, and just get that round shape. Just tuck in the edges. And that's our first maki roll made, which we'll chop in a second. We take our second piece of seaweed, wet our hands again, take a good handful of the rice and just carefully spread this out over your seaweed. Now when we do this, we want to try and get right to the edges. Grab some cucumber. And again, just pinching that first piece up and over. I'm going to tuck it in, roll, pinch, then pull that mat away from me, roll it, and then we're going to chop these into four. So the first one I'm going to just chop in half. And we'll just take this over to our board. And there we have it. A little sushi platter of my gunkan, nigiri and maki roll. Of course served with some pickled ginger, wasabi and light soy sauce. Creating sushi is an art form that combines the freshness of ingredients with the elegance of presentation. Enjoy the process and the delightful outcome of your culinary craftsmanship. Next, we'll dive into the soulful depths of ramen, a dish that embodies the heart of Japanese comfort food. Ramen is much more than just noodles in broth. It's a canvas for creativity and flavour, with each bowl offering a unique taste of Japan. We'll explore the components that make up a great ramen, from the rich, flavourful broth to the perfectly cooked noodles and the myriad of toppings. Let's bring the complex flavours and comforting warmth of authentic ramen into your kitchen, one bowl at a time. I love ramen. I should wear t-shirts saying I love ramen. I should have posters saying I love ramen. I grew up eating ramen pretty much every single day of my childhood. I'm sure that had a little contribution to the way that I look today, but I really do love ramen. It can be eaten soupy, it can be eaten dry, it can be eaten with tomato ketchup. You can put eggs in it, you can put eggs on it, You can have it with duck, you can have it with pork, you can have it with fish cake, you can have it with tofu. It's endless and I love it. This is my take on a ramen dish and I'm gonna cook it the way that I like to eat it. So the soup is very much a wonton soup base. The noodles are gonna be chewy, al dente. I don't like my noodles when they're too squishy and soft. I want a little bit of bite. I'm then gonna top it with all of my favorites. So I've got some soft tofu going on top. I'm gonna put some crab stick on there. I'm gonna garnish it with spring onion. I'm not a fan of spring onion, but again, for you guys, for the camera, it needs to look fantastic. And then I'm gonna eat it with lashings and lashings of sweet chili sauce. So shall we get started? Water, chicken powder, and I'm gonna put roughly 2 and a bit tablespoons into the water. Now, to get that background heat, we're gonna add some ginger. So you have to give it at least 10-15 minutes. Once the soup's boiling, leave your ginger in there for at least 15 minutes before you even think about serving it, because you need that background heat. For a little bit of extra flavor, I'm gonna add some spring onion. I'm gonna add a little bit of onion. And again, for that heat, white pepper. Now, soy sauce. Use a light soy sauce. You can use a low sodium soy sauce. I'm using a gluten-free light soy sauce today because this is going to be my dinner. There is absolutely no way I'm cooking this dish and letting the crew eat it today. This is my dish. I love ramen. I'm eating it. In goes a little bit of soy sauce. And Joe's eating it as well. Just if you wonder why I'm using gluten-free, is because I've got to share it with the wife, but you know. Okay, so why the soup is coming up to the boil, and I'm going to turn it down and let it simmer for a little bit. I'm going to get some water on so I can then soften my noodles. And we'll just gently bring this up to a boil. I have some bean sprouts, which I've just literally rinsed under cold water. They're just gonna top. I'm not gonna cook these. I'm literally gonna pour the boiling hot soup over the top. I've got some firm tofu in there, which I only opened yesterday. This is good in the fridge for around about 3 days, 4 days, or you can freeze it. It freezes absolutely fine, and it firms up even more when it's defrosted. So we're gonna put some fish sticks in here as well. It's comfort food. It's comfort food 101. You know, we had ramen for breakfast, we had ramen for lunch, we had ramen for dinner. We had ramen when we wanted a snack. There is no time in the day that ramen can't be eaten. Now, there's my soup coming up to the boil. I shall turn this down to medium and just let that blip away. So these are my eggs. These eggs were plunged into boiling water for 5 minutes only, and then straight into cold water. You know, there are loads of hacks for peeling eggs. I am gonna give this to Joe. Joe, do you mind peeling that, please? Thank you, my love. Okay, this is my firm tofu. Take a piece out, and I'm literally just very carefully going to squeeze out the excess water that's sitting in this roll. That can go there. And then I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna have some thin slices just placed very delicately over my noodles. And then I'll pour that soup over the top. My fish sticks, how do I want them? I might just chop them like that. There is no right and wrong way, guys. Right, let's give this a taste. Perfect. Okay, this is my lunch, so I can put my spoon back in there. My noodles can now be placed into the boiling water. Now, there are lots of different types of ramen noodle. Growing up, they used to be called dole noodles, and we often refer to them as dolly noodles. But all of this, as in us meaning my siblings and myself, and friends actually, so friends that grew up in the same kind of time as us who were Chinese, would all refer to as dole noodles. So what did you have for tea tonight? Dole noodles. What did you have for breakfast today? Dole noodles. See, that's a little trick. So if you're cooking for yourself and it looks like it's about to boil over, just blow over the top of it and the bubbles will stop. It won't boil over. And again, I'm gonna cook these just enough so they are a little bit al dente. Obviously still soft, but al dente. How's my egg looking, Joe? Can I have it? Is it done? Yeah. Thank you, my love. You know, as soon as we finish filming, I'm going to eat this. I'm not going to sit and talk. We're just going to eat. I'm just going to drain my noodles off. I'm going to grab this beautiful ramen noodle bowl that was made for me. In go my noodles. I'm then going to top with a couple of slices of my tofu and my crab sticks. On go a couple of bean sprouts. Right then, is this egg going to be any good? I think it's going to be too good, and I can feel how soft it is, so I'm actually going to do this over my bowl because I don't want to use any of that soft yolk in the middle. Oh, look how gooey that is. Oh wow. That was 5 minutes in boiling water, then plunged straight into cold water, guys. If you want to replicate this at home, which I'm sure you do, we're not going to waste it, am I? Okay. Food has to be experienced. You know, you can, if your hands get mucky, lick them. If it's just for you, there's no problems. It's absolutely fine. So we have started to keep our spring onions just in a little jar of water now. We refresh the water every day, every other day, and it makes them last a lot longer. There you go, look, covered in gooey egg yolk as well. It's all sticking to my fingers. There we have it, this beautiful ramen bowl with this aromatic soup that you would be accustomed to eating probably with a bowl of wontons. And the last thing I'm going to grab, if you want to follow me into my pantry, that way sir, is we need a squeeze of sesame oil. I knew it was in there somewhere. There we have it, guys. Ramen, my take on the classic Japanese dish, ramen noodles. It's not from a packet. It's sexy. It is sexy. And it's going to taste fantastic. And you've got to give this a go. Relish the warmth and complexity of your homemade ramen. A dish that's not just nourishing, but a true celebration of flavour and creativity. To complete our Tokyo culinary journey, we'll embrace the crisp, light beauty of tempura. This dish featuring battered vegetables is all about the art of frying. The key to perfect tempura lies in the batter, the temperature of the oil, and the freshness of the ingredients. We'll learn how to achieve that exquisite lightness and crunch that makes tempura such a beloved dish across Japan and beyond. Get ready to add a touch of elegance to your cooking repertoire. Tempura is mega famous as far as Japanese batters go. I think the reason being is that it's made with cold water, flour and egg, a little bit of salt, and that's it. The tempura that we're making today, we're going to serve it with this dashi stock that we're just going to pimp up. Now dashi is a form of seaweed, and you can buy these seaweed sheets and then obviously boil that up to make a stock, or you can buy the powder. I'm using the powdered variety today. And to this, we're going to add some grated ginger, which I've just finished grating there. This is my dashi stocks. This was just some dashi powder, a little bit of water. So in go my grated ginger. Now this is daikon or white carrot. And I'm just going to add a little bit of daikon in here as well. And that's my daikon or white carrot grated into the dashi stock. To the dashi stock and the white carrot and the ginger, I'm now going to add some mirin and some light soy sauce. And I'm just going to give this a stir and just warm this. Again, I'm not going to boil, but I'm just going to warm. This is a really simple batter to make. There's technically 3 ingredients. We're going to add the 4th one, which is going to be a little pinch of salt. We have some all-purpose flour. So this is just your standard all-purpose plain flour, and some ice cold water. Now you don't have to do it this way, but the reason I'm going to do it this way is that I don't want to overmix the flour. When you mix flour, it builds up a gluten. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to crack my egg into the water and whisk this before I add it into my flour. And then when I add it to my flour, I'm literally just going to turn so I get a batter. It really doesn't matter if you've got lumps in this. So that's my ice cold water and egg. Remember guys, I said just a pinch of salt. So in goes just a little pinch of salt for a bit of seasoning. There's my dashi stock, not boiling, but definitely warmed up now. And that's my dipping sauce done. I'm now going to get my pan on with some oil. This is just plain vegetable oil. You can of course use groundnut oil, rice bran oil, which gets nice and hot. I had vegetable oil in the store cupboard and this is what I'm using today. I'm going to add this wet mixture now to the flour. And I'm just going to whisk enough that I can't see any dry bits. Done. And it really doesn't matter. If you want to come and have a look actually, so come in. You can probably see that I've got a few lumps, but that really doesn't matter at all. And again, the worst thing you can do with a tempura batter is overwork that mixture so it becomes stiff and glutinous. We don't want to encourage gluten at all. Just as my oil comes up now, I'm going to chop my sweet potato. I'm going to do thin discs actually. Because I'm cooking the sweet potato from raw, I am going to make sure that these are quite thin, so when the batter goes nice and crispy, the potato is still cooked. So you can see it's about there. So not quite as thin as a crisp. And you have to make sure you've got a very sharp knife for this. So that should be plenty there for now. The courgettes I can make a little bit thicker. It's not a problem because these will cook down very quickly. And then I'm just going to take the end off this aubergine. And I'm going to chop my aubergine roughly the same thickness as my courgette. And if they're quite big, we can of course just chop those in half. Now the oil, ideally you want the oil to be at least 180 to 185, even up to 190 before you start cooking. I often talk about the hover test in my cooking videos because in the professional kitchen we didn't have time to get thermometers out. In the home kitchen, if you've got one of these, they're fantastic. It's just a probe. Just make sure that doesn't go into the oil. I'm just going to dip this into my oil and it will give me a good indication of whether or not we can start frying. So here's our batter, which I'm then just going to toss my aubergine, my courgettes and my sweet potato straight into the batter. Just very loosely. I'm just going to make sure that everything is coated. And then what we'll do now is just gently drop a few pieces of each of these into the oil. So these little scratchy bits here are my mum's favourite. So they never get binned in our household. And I'm going to fry these now until they go a nice golden brown. So we're nearly there, and with the power of editing, I managed to find my tray and a nice bowl for the sauce. So this is my dipping sauce. I'm just going to add into this bowl. I've just got a metal tray and some kitchen roll. I'm going to click off the heat, and I'm now going to grab my veggies in this beautiful crispy tempura batter. And I'm just going to give those a second or so for that extra excess oil just to drip into the kitchen roll. And now, time to dish up. I'm just going to put them all on. I was going to try and make it look pretty, and those bits there, like I say, they were my mum's favourite. And to finish off, because we can, we're going to take some of this coriander and just make it look pretty. And there we have it, my tempura batter with courgettes, aubergine and sweet potato, served with a beautiful dashi dipping sauce. Tempura is a versatile dish that allows you to get creative with the ingredients. So feel free to experiment with different vegetables and seafood to find your favourite combinations. As our journey through Tokyo sadly comes to a close, we've embraced the art of sushi, felt the warmth of the comforting bowl of ramen, and delighted in the light, crisp textures of tempura. Each dish has offered a glimpse into the heart of Japanese cuisine, where simplicity meets sophistication, and every bite tells a story. I've literally been dying to eat this since I made it earlier. And that does not disappoint. Join us next time on Man with a Wok as we turn up the heat with the fiery flavours of Szechuan cuisine. From the numbing spice of Szechuan peppercorns to the boldness of chili oil, we'll explore dishes that are as exciting to cook as they are to eat. Dive into a world where spice meets harmony and every dish promises a thrilling culinary adventure. Get ready to experience the heat, the flavour and the unforgettable journey through Szechuan's most iconic dishes. See you in my kitchen next time.